Before we dive in, here's another show you can enjoy in the True Story FM family of entertainment podcasts.
Do you like movies?
Do you like sports?
Have you ever thought, I've never played that sport on the screen, but I really enjoyed how the movie made me feel?
Well then, have we got a show for you. The Adrian Moment is where my friend Ocean and I discuss the triangulation of sports, movies, and life.
We dive deep into the movies, discussing how they relate to and have affected our lives.
We will talk about why the sport matters to the movie, why you don't have to love the sport to enjoy the movie, and mine a few nuggets of meaning inside the story you may not have realized was really there.
After listening to our show, come join us for more conversations about the movies that portray the thrill of victory
and the agony of defeat.
Find the Adrian Moment podcast on your favorite podcast app and join us while we cover the sports you love and the ones you never think about.
You will never see sports or sport movies the same again.
Hey, psst. Hey, you see that Snickers over there? If no one's looking, you should just take it.
No! Don't listen to him, my son. That would be stealing, and stealing is a sin.
Sin Schmin, it's a friggin' Snickers bar. You deserve to have it. Sinning really satisfies you.
Repent, my child. Virtue is the only real snack worth savoring. For that candy bar is merely a gateway to nougat damnation. Has this ever happened to you?
Listening to the devil on one shoulder and an angel on the other, and you're not sure what to think?
Then we're here to help. I'm Pete Wright.
And I'm Tommy Metz III, and this season on All the Feelings, we're examining the 7 deadly sins.
You know, the fun ones.
And the 7 heavenly virtues.
Which are also a thing. Through personal stories, historical oddities, and way too much embarrassment, we take you on a thrilling journey through all the goods and the bads you hear about in church.
But without all that pesky church stuff. So come join us for All the Feelings Season 9, a sometimes funny podcast about being human. All the sins, all the virtues.
All in one place. Go to allthefeelings.fun to learn more, or subscribe to All the Feelings wherever you get your podcasts.
Game over.
Welcome back to the Marvel Movie Minute, a weekly podcast which we disassemble a film from the Marvel Cinematic Universe into 5-minute segments and then examine an obsessive and occasionally hilarious detail. I'm Kyle Olson from the Storywell podcast.
Hey, and I'm Rob Kubasko. And Kyle.
Yes, sir.
I'm going to read to you a list of characters, and I would like you to take a guess at what connects them all.
Oh, interesting.
Number 1, the Pink Panther. Number 2, Phil Sanders. Number 3, Peter Griffin. Number 4, the Newsman. Number 5, Grandma Campbell. Number 6, Thomas Jasper Cat. Number 7, Kenny McCormick. And number 8, Charlie Harper.
Did you say the Newsman? Was that one of the characters?
Yes, that is his name.
Okay, I say you lost me on who these characters were after Peter Griffin. I've never heard any of the rest of those before.
Oh, the Newsman, Grandma Campbell? No,
yeah, so
really, Thomas Jasper Cat.
They are all made from taking still images, altering them slightly, and then taking a picture of that image, then drawing it again, and then taking another picture of the image. Is that what they have in common?
No, it's not. You know what it is?
What is it?
They were all murdered by piano. Now, okay. I have an asterisk.
No, I need to hear this. Like, okay. Tell me.
So hold on.
List.
So let me give you. I have an asterisk on some of these. Not all of them were murdered
or injured.
But, okay. Pink Panther.
Sure.
Piano gets dropped on Pink Panther all the time.
Yeah.
Phil Sanders, you may not remember, was the friend of attorney Dan Fielding, who helped him
on
all his weird schemes.
That's
on
right.
the NBC sitcom Night Court.
Yeah.
And basically Dan Fielding finds out he's not homeless. He's actually incredibly rich.
Uh-huh.
And he's just living this life because
Yeah.
When he finds this out, there's a whole episode where he finds this out. The guy's going to actually give him some of the money. And unfortunately, on his way to doing something, he is walking past Carnegie Hall and a piano falls on him and kills him.
Actually, I watched this episode not that long ago. Actually, like about a year ago, I did a whole Night Court rewatch.
And do you remember? And you're, by the way, for those of you who know, Phil Sanders has a twin brother.
That's right.
Who shows up later. In the whole gist of this story, Dan Fielding becomes the Phantom of the courthouse.
That's right. With the mask and everything.
Yes, with Christine. S is Christine.
Right.
It's absolutely unbelievable. Peter Griffin. Okay, we know. Yes, Family Guy.
Sure.
He opened a fortune cookie. It said a piano's going to fall on you. Didn't believe it. It got him. The newsman is the Muppet Show newsreader.
Oh, here is a Muppet News Flash.
Here's a Muppet News Flash. His official name is the Newsman. He was giving a story one day about a charter flight carrying the London Symphony Orchestra was forced to jettison its instruments, unfortunately, over the Muppet News Studios. And he was hit by a piano.
Yeah.
Grandma Campbell is Cindy Campbell's grandma from Scary Movie.
Oh, okay.
You may remember a scene where she is being chased by Ghostface on a staircase in her home. She throws a piano down the stairs. Ghostface moves out of the way. Her grandma gets the piano.
Yeah.
Thomas Jasper Cat is the actual full name of Tom from Tom and Jerry.
Oh, okay.
Many pianos dropped on him.
Pianos, yes.
Kenny McCormick from South Park, of course, done that.
Oh my God, they killed Kenny.
Yes. And Charlie Harper is the character that was murdered on an episode of 2.5 Men.
That's right.
And I could have added Chuck Lorre because in that scene, then Chuck Lorre gets a piano. So I had to find a thing. Now I could have also added to this list, and this is a very deep, weird cut for those of you who are cinema aficionados. I could have added Holly Hunter, Harvey Keitel, and Sam Neill because they were all murdered by a piano as well.
For the art house crowd.
For the art house crowd, send us your complaints. If you like that movie, well, good for you. Anyway, what is people being murdered by a piano have to do with this episode?
We got 88 keys, 99 problems, and the helicopter probably got one here as we get to minute 36 of Iron Man 3 from 2013, directed by Shane Black, written by Shane Black and Drew Pearce. So when last we left our heroes, the attack on stately Stark Manor was well and truly underway. Maya is knocked out. The ceiling above Tony is cracking in a really dangerous fashion. I don't think he was probably insured by his people for missile attacks. So you can't blame the contractors on this one.
Well, yeah, there's only one person to blame for this one.
Is it Tony Stark?
No, it's Jarvis.
Oh,
and we're going to keep talking about that for a while.
Yeah.
Jarvis sucks.
Yeah, and by the time we get to Iron Man, like after all the stuff he'd done, after he gets to Iron Man 3, for some reason, Jarvis is really distracted in this one. I'm not really sure why. So as we start, then Tony is looking over at Maya, who's clearly unconscious. The ceiling's about to go down, and then Pepper comes flying in at the Iron Man suit and basically hunches over Tony and takes the hit from the ceiling falling in and stops her. So obviously Pepper has a history in the comics of actually wearing the armor. Eventually, Tony makes her own armor, which we'll see in the MCU in Endgame. That armor is called Rescue. The armor that he designed for her was designed to be a rescue. It has no offensive weapons. Like, it is only designed for helping people and doing it. But this is the first time we see in the MCU of like Gwyneth Paltrow / Pepper Potts actually getting in the armor. So she gets it, and then she says, "I've got you," which is good.
That's good.
He said, "I got you first," because of course it's Tony Stark. He can't help but.
Do you think? Okay, so I have some issues here.
Okay.
So I would assume that he has always designed the suit to be able to work with her, because there is a moment we'll see here where her face is shown up in the HUD.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
But now she knows how to lift the visor because she's revealed her face at this moment.
Yes.
But that's all she knows how to do? She knows how to just move around and lift the visor?
Yeah, honestly, I think so. I mean, when you put it's a wearing on a pair of clothes, I would think, when you first get in, that she's just basically just moving as, because I don't think she flew over to him. She just like ran over. So she's just wearing, like a literal suit of armor at this point. She's not really using all this stuff. Yeah. It's never been clear how he activates any of these things. How even how he does the command. Is it, is there is there a lick control on the other side of that thing that he like uses his tongue to activate different things?
We're gonna, in just a few more seconds, we're gonna talk about something.
Okay.
So yeah.
I mean, is it where he looks? Is it literally him just saying, Jarvis do this, Jarvis do that, Jarvis do this?
I think that there is some sort of motor sensing, maybe even possibly a little bit neural sensing.
Yeah.
That combinations of physical motions,
right,
and brain impulses do the thing that it's supposed to be doing.
Yeah,
That's
I wondered if he had something, because he had something built into the gauntlets in terms of like he could sort of almost be triggering them in the fingers, because like the fingers don't have to move when he moves his fingers inside. There's a little bit of wiggle room, which we'll see a little bit in coming up here. But yeah, it's so I don't know what it is that does it, but somehow she gets the mask open and sees it. So they have that face-to-face conversation.
And by the way, I never realized, I've always thought one of the most awkward moments of the battle in Endgame is when she does the superhero, landing, and she lifts her head up and the visor goes up, and the CGI was a little wonky. And this is, now I'm referring this to Endgame. Yeah. But I think the callback is this moment. Like when she looks at him sort of with that, like, look what you did. Look what you got us into now. So I get it. This one's better. This one admittedly is a better moment of her doing that.
Yeah. So as they're doing that, and Tony says, I got you first. And he says, like I said, we can't stay here, which is another callback to like, she just said you can't do that. So then as they're getting to move, then another missile comes shooting in and explodes, and then blows Tony away from her back towards the window over the sofa. And when he gets up, he now has a cut on the top of his nose and there's blood on his face. And he's telling them he needs to go. It says, move, I'm right behind. And as they are starting to run to get out, then a huge crack appears in the floor. And so then now they're separated in physical form, not just emotionally. There's a huge gap between them, and you can see down into the lab, Tony's workshop below them. And so then Tony, taking charge, tells Pepper to get Maya. Hey, I'm going to find a way around. And then she's standing there like, I'm in an Iron Man suit. I could do something. I could help. And he says, stop stopping. Which I like. Get outside, go. And so Peppermint grabs Maya, and then she's just running out. So this is where we get into like, how does it work? How does it do that? Because she's going and she's starting to make the motions with her hand, like she knows what Tony does. She puts her hand out to use the repulsors, which are in the palms, to like blow out the window so that she get out there faster, and nothing happens. And so she's doing it a couple of times and nothing happens. And then finally she sort of gives up. And when they cut back to the HUD, you can see her picture is in the side. Like you said, it recognized who she was. So she was authorized to use the armor. And then you see repulsors firing. And so as she drops her hand back down, that's when the repulsor goes off and launches her forward. And then she basically almost does the same move that we saw early on with Tony, and just goes, I don't know, we're still PG-13, but she goes butt over tea kettle.
Yeah.
And so it's a strange sort of way, because somehow she lands under Maya, and then Maya rolls off her.
Okay, so I want to say this: the first time you watch this, and it's watched at full speed.
It's a funny moment in terms of like, then all of a sudden.
No, I mean, and by the way, this whole action sequence, it's just a lot of explosions and blurry stuff, right? Like, okay, but there's some interesting details in it. So one, I have a huge problem with. She is making the repulsor shot with her arm.
Yes.
And she does it like twice. Yeah. And the suit's just like, we don't know what you're trying to do.
Right.
And then when she puts her hand down, okay, I have to tell you, I mean, I know it's convenient to get her out of the place.
Yeah.
But I got to tell you, it makes her in the suit look really stupid.
Yeah, I can see that. But it could also be to try to convey the fact that it's not easy. Like getting in the Iron Man suit and doing this is not easy.
I'm not. You know what? And by the way, I realize that this is foreshadowing a kick-ass Pepper moment later on in the movie.
Yes, right.
So I understand maybe that's the reason for this, because
you said it up first time.
I just know that it's just this place so awkward. And here's the other deal: I had to watch this the moment that they go through the window.
Yeah,
you have to watch it multiple times in slow-mo. and it gets weird in slow-mo.
Yeah.
But I will say, because when I watched it the first time, I'm like, well, Maya's dead.
Right.
She just full-blown went through a plate glass window, which I'm sure it's plate glass window because it's the main window.
Crashed onto a giant metal suit of armor.
She's dead. She's dead. Like she's not. She got no chance of survival. She's dead. She's not. You actually watch it in slow-mo. The Pepper in the Iron Man suit actually does do the full rotation around her and puts the Iron Man suit between her and the window at the time of impact.
Yeah.
It's amazing. It's actually
and onto the ground too. I think she lands because Pepper lands on her back essentially with Maya on top, and then Maya sort of rolls off to the side, and that somehow not only does it not kill her, it wakes her up.
Yes. No, like yes. But it's actually kind of cool. It actually does. If you're watching this and you're like, oh, how did she survive that? No, she actually did. The animators actually put that all in there.
Yeah.
I don't like it though.
It gets into the whole thing that sort of sometimes annoys me about the Fast and the Furious too, where it's like, if you fall from a high place onto a ground, you die. If you fall on the ground onto a car, apparently you're fine. And but it's still hitting a hard metal object. And like, even if the car is going through the air and you land on it, you're still hitting a car. Well, and the same thing here. Like, she's still landing on an Iron Man armor. Like that. And don't forget have some significant internal damage.
Significant internal damage. Also, by the way, no one here, including Pepper, because she's there unprotected during the first explosion.
Yeah.
Everyone can't hear anything.
Yes.
They cannot hear anything. It's like, so. And by the way, I know, like, Rob, do you remember you're watching an Iron Man movie? Yes, I do.
It's a comic book movie.
It's a comic book movie. I understand. But I mean, there's a lot of things. There's a lot of laws of reality that are absolutely thrown out of the window.
Yeah. I mean, if you really, we don't know exactly what these missiles are made of, but like one missile can pretty much do the job.
Oh, come on.
The fact that there's a volley of them is
No, that's not great.
So as they get around, then and we cut back to the helicopters, three of them coming at them, and these are, of course, the Bell 407s. They are a 4-blade single-engine civil utility helicopter, a derivative of the Bell 206L4 Long Ranger. They, of course, use the 4-blade soft-in-plane design rotor of the composite hub developed by the U.S. Army's OH-58D Kiowa Warrior instead of the 2-blade semi-rigid teetering rotor of the 206L4, but I think we all knew that when we saw them.
Well, of course.
It's just obvious. So then on that shot of them lining up their next shots, that's where minute 36 comes to an end. As we get to minute 37, another huge volley of explosions, and then the whole ground that Tony is on drops down to about a 45-degree angle, and he starts sliding. Breaks through the window, but he manages to grab a girder to stop himself from falling any farther. He's now got blood all over his face. And that's when Jarvis pipes up. Once again, Jarvis, Mr. Calm again, as all this stuff is going on, just like as an FYI, like you set a reminder, sir, Miss Potts is clear of the structure. And so then when he finds this out, then that's when Tony like pulls himself up, braces himself, and then does the armor return to me gesture. And then once again, this is like the third time we've seen this. It's still so freaking cool. Like watching all the pieces in slow-mo come off of her one by one and then fly over to him. And then we get the big hero shot of him in the mix. I have quibbles about this and so too, but like, man, that the pieces piece by piece coming together is pretty freaking awesome. Like,
it's awesome. But I want to tell you this.
I thought you might.
Is it better than the suitcase suit up on the racetrack? No, it is not.
Oh, but I will take it for this matter of like sending it and pulling it back. Like I think that they had an idea of doing it, and I think that, and we're going to see further down the line too. They've already done a couple interesting things with it, and they still have more interesting things to do with it. So I think like they had an idea as opposed to suitcase suit, which is kind of a one-trick pony. Like it's right. Do it once and that's it, and you never see it again. Like we're gonna see it here in the next couple minutes for the last time. Right. We'll have a period of mourning then. We're not there at that point yet. But this they came with a gimmick of like all these different pieces that can fly into it, and I feel like they get every bit of juice out of that particular fruit.
Now, do you find so two things that I Well, one thing that I absolutely love about this, so I'm not going to be, one of the things that is fantastic is while this is happening, this is the song choice from the score is Attack on 10880 Malibu Point from the soundtrack by Brian Tyler. This is where that new Iron Man theme kicks in, and it's fantastic.
Yeah.
This is really, really well done. It's a great piece. What's not cool about it? It's one thing to say, hey, he's going to get the suit. He's going to get protected. He's about to kick ass. Mm-hmm. It's another thing to show the helicopters firing on his position through the compromised glass without the suit on, and he doesn't get shot.
Well, yes, he doesn't get shot until the armor is on him, because like there's a as you scramble up. So I wasn't going to go into a big thing about tracer rounds, but basically when you see those little things going around, those are bullets that are designed specifically so the people who are firing the weapon can see where it is going, because when bullets are going, it's just a blur. All you can see is what it's destroying.
It's not equally designed to scare the hell out of the person who's getting shot at.
No, they don't. At that point, they don't really care. They don't care. It's not about a fear thing at all. It's more about just specifically aiming. So that's what you see go by. And so, yeah, Tony does scramble up. But I thought it actually was really cool how as the pieces are coming on, he stands up to get one of them and then is immediately shot in the back.
Oh,
so
yeah.
As soon as the armor piece lands on his back, they actually do finally line up that shot.
Well, I think they're trying to show that
forward.
Yeah. How lucky is he? How fortunate that it's just happening as the pieces are going on. Yes, I get it. But
I mean, it's a classic hero thing of like just running ahead of the bullets, the just lead them a little less.
Sure.
So then finally, then Iron Man stands up full on in the armor. And then you have that heroic thing, and then immediately undercut because the next missile hits and the whole ground drops away. So then we see Tony then say, Jarvis, where's my flight power? And we see on the heads up display that it's at 22%. So once again, we have that charging. And that's another thing I quite understand. So if the power is coming from Tony in the chest, like we made a big point of this before, how is the suit able to even have repulsors when it goes to Pepper, because it shouldn't have that much power? Well, he can send it to her.
Oh, that's fine. Okay. So
this is a fundamental question I've had about Iron Man since 2. And we talked about it during Iron Man 2 as well. Like I don't understand how it is. And because the whole point of Iron Man 2 was how powerful the arc reactor is.
Right.
And now he seems to be mass producing them.
Yes.
So why isn't it not powered up then if it has its own arc reactor in it?
Well, okay, so the easy answer is how does it have power? Right. How does it have power for Pepper? Because now every piece is self-powered in some way.
Right.
So I'm assuming every piece, and I've tried to look into this a little bit, like there's no, like, it doesn't get that deep into it. Everything's got basically some sort of miniaturized power source or arc reactor.
Yeah, absolutely.
Obviously understood.
Yeah, sure. That makes sense.
So that makes sense. What I don't understand is this is a self-contained piece of machinery.
Yes.
What's Jarvis doing?
Right. Yes. This is
what is basically a armored, wearable, integrated circuit.
Yeah.
What is he doing?
I sort of get the magical meta science of the pieces. Like they all have individual somehow they have propellant that they can do.
Right.
I'm okay with that. Like that's sciencey magic, that Marvel magic. You wave your hand, I'm fine with that. But I just don't understand the fundamental power issues of this, because when she's in the suit, she's able to fire the repulsors. But when he gets in the suit, it doesn't have enough power to fly. But it had power then. And we're going to see later on, it doesn't need him to fly. Spoiler alert for probably three-fourths of the way through the movie.
Sure.
The suit can fly without Tony in it.
Well, no, and clearly because all the pieces of it can fly. Right. Absolutely. No, totally.
Yeah, but like it can do all the things that Iron Man could do without him in it. Okay, so then what is Jarvis doing? Like, why isn't it at 22% power? Why?
This is the issue. And it's different in that okay, so here it's a plot device. I get it.
Of course,
it's moving things along in the
exactly. But it's weird that they like spend a bunch of time like with this, and then the other one they just sort of like hand wave away. There's a bunch of these things that I feel like are fundamental issues of Iron Man armor.
No, I'm 100% with you. And
because the first movie was about this, like the dark reactor, and like how there's only two.
Well, wait, and here's the thing is, this to me is something easily you could fix. Have Jarvis make him Scotty, which is basically what he is, and say, hey, it's going to be harder now for you to walk because I'm going to take some of the power that's running the servos in your knees.
Yes.
And I'm going to reroute it so that you'll be able to do this, right? Yeah. Like more power to the front shields. And yes, you leave your ass open. Like I get that, but they don't do any of that. Like it's just, this is frustrating. This is a flaw, I think, in this part of the movie, in that Jarvis's ability to multitask and Jarvis's ability to do the thing that matters is highly compromised. Yeah. I mean, again, and throughout this whole moment, I'm still sitting there going, I mean, did the first missile knock out? If you're Stately Stark Manor and you got hit by a missile, unless that missile took out all the property's defensive systems, wouldn't then the rest of the defensive systems go, okay, we have a problem, like, let's turn off the refrigerators, right, and let's put them to whatever else is left? No, none of that ever happens. This place is a sitting duck this entire moment. And when you look at what's going on with the suit, even, like, I just go, Jarvis, what?
Yeah, like I understand the whole metaphor of Iron Man 3. I get that it is Tony's on the back foot, like things aren't working right. Like we have to see how he does outside the suit and stuff too. But there's no plot related reason why the suit isn't fantastic right now. Right. Like it's not even that it was damaged, like that we saw that because Pepper was in it and it hits the statue and then you hear and you see like, and when it gets on him, there are pieces broken. And so like you self-repair protocol and all that kind of stuff. There's no in story reason why the suit wouldn't be at full capacity right now. So that bugs me.
No, it totally bugs. Can I also say another thing? You know what as I was watching this, and you know what I said? I'm about to go absolute loopy here. But you know what would have been a different plot point here is? Instead of these henchmen in the helicopters coming in with the rockets, what if they had equipped seagulls with extremis and they could come in? Like, that's the thing. Like, that's an entire plot point. I'd be like, oh, they didn't see that coming. Like, there's
you'll never see them coming.
No, like, oh my God, seagulls, what is happening? Like, I don't know. Like this,
the idea of like them training seagulls to do anything.
Well, they can do it to dolphins. Why can't they do it to seagulls? And you put extremis in them.
Because have you met a seagull? That's why.
Well, there's that. Okay.
So he says, so Tony says, where's my flight power? And Jarvis says, working on it, sir. This is a prototype. It's like, once again, okay, you don't get to be sassy right now, Jarvis.
Yeah, no. Oh, and there it's starting because it's going to come even more. No. Yeah, no.
Right. So then Tony tries to fire a mini missile and can't. The system is compromised, whatever. It can't, like the launcher is not working and stuff too. But instead, he finds a piano.
Oh, see.
So as the piano then is sliding down, he sees it happening. This is, once again, I know we've been bashing on this. This is also pretty freaking cool.
Oh,
so
yes.
He lets go of the girder, slides along right behind it. And then as the piano goes, he fires the repulsor and it launches the piano out over the Pacific Ocean and into the helicopter. No, there's not a pilot in the world who would have anticipated that or saw it coming. That is like Marvel Comics 101, pure insanity. I loved it.
So wait, can I tell you this though? You know how you make this better? How did they not switch for a moment to the view inside the cockpit?
As the piano is slowly coming towards him.
And the guy just goes, what? This grand piano coming full blown at us. What is going on?
Give that guy a SAG card just for saying, is that? And then that's it.
No, exactly. And then you'd have to throw in like a little bit of like,
No, that was to say that is in there. So
Yes,
I watched that scene a bunch of times. They're like right when the piano slides, there's a great piece of audio that is so fast you might miss it. It's part of the score, but it does sound like a piano, like, and it matches the score just before the impact of it too. I was like, oh, that's really good. I'm sure that was Brian Tyler again, or one of the sound team. So whoever does that, we heard it. We salute you. That was pretty cool. So then so at minute 38, then Tony says, that's one. So then one helicopter down, and Jarvis says, sir, the suit is not combat ready, which is like, yeah.
Okay, can I say this? You know what Jarvis should have said?
What?
That's great, but we're out of pianos. Just want you to know, sir.
I'm telling you, Rob fixes movies, people. Like
that's great, but
call it. Ready to go.
We're done.
So then there's one interesting shot in this that is sort of like from the POV of one of the people of the guys in the helicopters, and it's like a black and white image. So it's not like a heat thing. I guess it'd be like night vision, but it's sunset here. So I guess it's sort of a kind of radar or something. It's just one shot where you see, Iron Man in white on a black thing running through. So somebody using some kind of a scope. It's got that Call of Duty Modern Warfare sort of like action shot, but it's so random because like we have no idea who this is or what they're using or why it's there. It's just one shot in this entire sequence. One shot of that as he's like going from the piano to the next thing that the next attack he's gonna make. It's interesting, but it was very out of place when you started breaking it down like this.
So the only thing I thought of is that it's not heat vision in a traditional sense because it's grayscale. So that's first thing, but it does seem more like it's a very rudimentary heat vision system because if you look, it's only the flames that are all around him are white,
right? And
Tony's outfit is white, which I would assume would be hot because he's just been exploded in a variety of ways. But I think the purpose of this is to show that they're making you think that the Mandarin's henchmen are using cobbled together parts of things.
Okay.
And so and I think it's designed to show the great difference between, or at least to show the illusion that Mandarin's henchmen are just rudimentary guys going to Radio Shack with, there's a drop. Going to Radio Shack to pull some things together. And Tony's got the full holograms and everything else. That's what I think the purpose of that is. I think.
Yeah, I think that tracks. I mean, I didn't thought of it that way, but that is pretty good.
I do love though, as he's going for right before that shot, I do love the heads ups are not very detailed in this sequence, except for this moment, which I really like, where it actually is showing you the image of his gauntlet and you can see the missile inside the gauntlet saying it's offline. Yeah. So I think that's and that's kind of a cool callback because one of the coolest sequences in the original Iron Man movie was when he'd have these little missiles that could pop out of his forearm.
Yeah,
so
this is like the same missile that took out the tank in that sequence, doing the same thing here, except they can't get it to launch. So instead, it's almost AR, like, because it essentially puts his hand up and it's almost doing like the 3 thing of saying like, here's where the problem is. So he just rips that part of the suit open and then takes the mini missile and throws it at the helicopter and then uses the repulsor to sort of activate it. And then it hits the chopper and explodes and drops down. Once again, this is showing the innovation of Tony Stark of like adapting to situations and going off of what he can and can't do and doing it. So he says that's 2. Unfortunately, the one thing he couldn't really count on, in fact, is when helicopters go down, they don't just drop out of the sky like stones. So this one explodes and then starts spinning, and he realizes that it's spinning towards him. So the helicopter then crashes into the house, and then it cracks the whole thing and then falls into the ground. And as Tony wakes up, he looks over and he sees what I consider to be the saddest shot in this entire movie. It is absolutely heartbreaking because we see Dummy trying to pick up severed arm.
Oh,
it's crushing. like to see just like the sad thing of like a friend trying to help another friend who's like, it's this to me is like Saving Private Ryan on the beach.
Okay.
I mean, these two have been with Tony before Pepper.
Okay. Let's just note, that's hyperbole. You're not, and not exactly like Saving Private Ryan, but yes, the
movie.
emotional touch. Yes, thank you.
I'm not saying the actual soldiers on the beach.
Just checking. I did. Okay. By the way, just real quick, when he does that, by the way, I love that sequence, him pulling off the panel, you seeing the rocket inside the forum. That's fantastic. Yeah. Takes it, throws it in the explosion. You do get then the connection to the heat vision where the pilot, you see he's wearing the night vision goggles.
Okay.
So in that explosion, you see the connection to what that was from.
That's who it came from. Okay.
Exactly.
Cool. Yeah. So I'm curious about this. Did you, going back to the severed arms, they do a shot and I feel like it's a very specific angle they chose on this. Did you pick up on this? Because I know that you are a scholar of religious artistry.
Oh, it's the Sistine Chapel. The fingers touching.
It's the creation of Adam. Yeah.
Oh, creation. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like it's the exact format of like the hand.
Totally. Oh, yeah.
Like, as they're sort of looking over, the two hands and then towards Tony.
And even it's very this whole sequence though, you even have the angelic like rays of light that are coming in because everything now is breaking apart in the structure. Oh yeah, no. And then of course the car also gets
we'll get there. So then as the missiles then rain in, then we cut back to the opening shot of this movie. So now we see this is where that was from, is all the suits one by one exploding from all the stuff there as Tony's in his lab where the Iron Man was born. It's from the cave, but like the proper Iron Man suit was in this exact place. And we see that suit and all the other ones, including Rob's favorite armor, get destroyed by the Mandarin's missiles.
And I love the interspersing the shots of Tony's face in the suit where his eyes are almost like opening up wider and wider because he's realizing, this deep down inside, this has been one of his nightmares.
Yeah.
And so now it's actually happening. He's in it. Yeah, this is bad.
Yeah. And so then as the front of the entire front of the building then falls away, the ground shifts again and we see Dummy and what's left of you go sliding off into the ocean.
And that one to me is the one that gets me. Cause I mean, literally you see him he's looking down from the right side of the screen and there goes Dummy. Yeah, that's not great.
And then as we hit minute 39, then speaking of, as he's in a prototype armor, speaking of prototypes, there goes the 2013 Audi R8 e-tron prototype as it slides out into the ocean as well. And then Tony is then hanging onto an iron girder, but it doesn't matter because all of that is going as well. So it's a great shot of him hanging onto the iron girder as the entire structure hits the water and goes into the water. And I gotta say, as much as we've been, complaining about the technology stuff, here we go. Here's the metaphor of Iron Man 3 fully represented in beautiful CGI. Tony is being buried by all of his worldly possessions. Ooh. Like the pharaohs of old, all of his stuff, all of his cars and his robots and his beautiful house and his suits can't save him. He is literally being buried by all the things that he had gotten for himself. All the armor he had built around himself is now literally killing him.
That's deep.
Right? I mean, come on, as much as like we said, we've been taking our shots, but like, this is pretty bad.
Did you get a little Otto Octavius vibes on this as well?
I can see that.
Yeah,
I can see that. I would be surprised if that wasn't an inspiration to them too.
A little. I actually think it was, especially with everything. Yeah. We see as an iron cable then sort of wraps around him or a girder or something, some kind of cable pulls him down in the concrete. We see the head of the bunny that he had bought for Pepper comes floating by. So and obviously Tony is freaking out. He's trying to get out. So he manages to pull the wire out over himself, but not quick enough because then the rest of the house drops on top of him and he's literally buried alive.
At minute 40, then Savin we cut to still chewing his gum, just having a good time. He looks around, doesn't see anything. Like it basically looks like, yep, job well done, even though he missed all 3 targets. But like, all right, took care of that. And so then he turns to leave. Then we cut back to underwater, and a glowing hand emerges from the wreckage. Tony is still alive. And so Jarvis says, "Sir, take a deep breath." So then we see the right gauntlet comes off. It like uses some little, it turns out that it actually can function underwater as well. So the solid propellant that it's using can also lift water, or it has some, I would imagine, or it has some sort of basic water siphoning technologies or fans or something that can move it. So then the hand flips around, grabs Tony's actual real physical hand and pulls him out. So Iron Man's hand then pulls Tony out from the wreckage.
It's using interesting callback. It's using, wait, no, that's not a callback.
Is it call forward?
Wait. Where are we at with when they're trying to lift the Thor's hammer in
yeah. That has not happened yet.
That has not happened yet.
Yeah.
But that's what it is. That's the same technology. Remember, he's using the gauntlet to try to pull the hammer up. Yes.
Yeah,
so you're getting a little bit of that. Love it. By the way, this is amazing. Really cool sequence.
Yeah. This is and having it that Jarvis essentially is the one who's pulling him up out of it. I wish they had. I know it's a fast sequence that they're doing. I wish they had been a little bit more of like the peril, because what we find out when they cut back to Tony inside the suit is that the suit is filling with water.
Yes.
They don't really play a bunch of that, because I guess maybe they don't want to have like, get into the abyss territory of like having to have, Robert Downey Jr. with like gradually water going up on his face. But that is the idea.
Right.
And so and we see some of it like sort of towards the bottom of it. And then Jarvis says the hand goes back on. So the suit is now complete. You see there's sort of a whoosh as the water is then pushed out. Jarvis says flight power has been restored. And then Tony flies out, and obviously, like the Mandarin's technology is still not that great, because as the helicopter is flying one way, you see clearly next to the wreckage of the house, Iron Man flying up out of the water. Like it's not down the coast or anything or above on the water line. It's full on, like all they have to do is look to the left and they would see the plume. But I guess they figure job's done, boys. 5:00, it's quitting time.
As much as I would love to make fun of the intelligence of the Mandarin's henchmen, might we also note that Tony Stark's home is at the bottom of the shoreline?
Yeah.
So there's no winners here today.
No.
There's no winners.
It goes from Iron Man flying out, then it goes to an immediate blackout.
Yeah.
And then from there we have we hear Jarvis saying, "Sir," and then Tony slowly waking up. And then I like that we see that the heads up display is not displayed when he's not looking at it, because when he wakes up is when all of it sort of powers up around him. So like it's basically the conserving power, why have it on when there's not anybody to do it? So he does it, and he says, all right, kill the alarm, I got it. And Jarvis says, that's the emergency alert triggered by the power dropping below 5%. And then Tony looks out and realizes it's night, there's snow, there's a woods, he's flying, he has no idea what's going on. And that, unfortunately, is where minute 40 comes to an end.
Okay, but let's just say this, good and bad. I'm not worried though, because if it's the alarm when the power drops below 5%, he still means he's got 5%. So nothing bad's going to happen.
No,
this is like you in the car, your low fuel light goes on. You could still drive 40 miles.
Yeah. There's gotta be, there's gotta be capacity.
Yeah, it's no big deal. Like, because Jarvis wouldn't screw up again.
No.
Okay, good.
Good. He's made all his mistakes. There's no way that in the next minute we're going to find out that he's made a colossal blunder. That's just not Jarvis' style. But you know what would be a colossal blunder? Not supporting the people at TrueStory.fm. That's right. You can do your part to be better than Jarvis and help those who are trying to make interesting, cool stuff like this very show. If you go to TrueStory.fm/join, you can join for a mere $5 a month. Or if you'd like to do, as I like to do, a yearly thing, perhaps there's a tax rebate has come in recently for you. You can send $50 of it that way, and you get a year of access to all the cool stuff that True Story is putting together. Perhaps you don't like ads, as I don't. This is a way to get that. Perhaps you like getting episodes early, as I do. You can get that as well. It's all available to you, either a monthly thing if that's better for you, or a yearly thing. We'd appreciate it. It helps us to be able to keep the lights on and keep putting out weird takedowns of movies that are more than 10 years old.
Can I just say right now,
Please do.
I don't think there's a better statement to make than saying True Story FM way better than Jarvis. Way
Put it
better.
on a t-shirt.
That's a t-shirt, guys. Like, come on. True Story FM with the greater sign, Jarvis.
But we're headed to another part of the world that we have not previously seen in the MCU in our next minute. So make sure that you're there. We'll be there. Come join us in the Rolling Hills of Tennessee. Enough said.
Bye.